Fresh meat.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Horror and holidays just fit together, man. You can argue what is and isn't a Christmas movie, or what the best Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve horror movies are, but there's really only one undisputed king of March's big festivities. Could there be a more perfect St. Patrick's Day horror outing than an insane, murderous leprechaun? Somehow, we've never defended one of these movies, and just recently only discussed the first one on our new Awfully Good Horror Movies show. But with the green-themed holiday fast approaching, it's time to talk about the series synonymous with one character and almost one actor. But which one, though? Well, we rarely talk about the first in a series of movies as the Black Sheep, though there are exceptions like The Purge. As Jason and Pinhead went to space, the fourth Leprechaun followed suit and gave us arguably the most ridiculous entry in a pretty ridiculous franchise. For that movie, though, I think most people watch it for the so bad it's good content it provides.
So you're a doctor, right?
A biologist. A doctor of biology.
Man, this is great.
Leprechaun in the Hood is legitimately good and requires no shout-out other than a reminder to go check it out. The one I'd like to discuss is directed by the same man who did 4, more on him later, and finds the fun and the absurd without going into the obvious that the rest of the series did.
I love the humour in the third one and was very happy to see more of it come in.
Leprechaun 3 would be the first Leprechaun film to be released straight to video. The first 4 films would be churned out in a 5-year span anyway, but the combination of the laws of diminishing returns that runs throughout nearly all horror series, and the boom in profitability would ensure the sequels would keep on coming. The first movie made about 8 times its budget in theaters, and while 2 would also be released theatrically, it would be far less successful with both critics and the audience, making far less money. Leprechaun 3 wouldn't be made for the theater-going crowd. It was made for us. Made for the box art aficionados, the VHS aisle browsers in mom-and-pop stores like my own beloved Video Unlimited that started me on my own movie journey. It would be made for the people that were willing to slap down $1.99 on a film that would almost certainly not be good, but give us 90 minutes of a trashy horror experience. I want to thank you guys for watching The Black Sheep, and ask if you enjoy our shows, please subscribe to our channel right now. Like this video and click the bell so you can get notified each time a new video goes up. And now, back to the show. The movie opens in Sin City herself, Las Vegas, Nevada. This really is the perfect spot for our leprechaun friend to end up, what with his obsession with gold and enough victims to parlay their greed into him having some fun. It's like Wishmaster. He needs enough people to make desperate wishes. Is there any better place to find desperate people?
Lovely golden palaces, completely full of riches. I'll rip 'em off and rob 'em blind, those dirty sons of bitches.
Anyway, we see one of the very finest representations of Sin City with the exterior of a pawn shop, presumably somewhere on the Strip based on the wonderful establishing shots. The proprietor is ambushed by who has got to be the unluckiest dude in the world, who presents him with a statue that I really hope Warwick Davis has at his house somewhere. The man claims it's a good luck charm,
He's a good luck charm.
which is answered by the first of many, many tongue firmly in cheek dialogue choices this movie makes.
I can see it's working very well.
The shop owner pays off the man and immediately removes the necklace surrounding the statue. He clearly hasn't seen a horror movie because that is the last thing you should probably be doing at this point. He returns to the statue, which is gone of course, and replaced by a pot of gold. And what would you do with a pot of gold? He grabs a coin before paying for it with his ear courtesy of some leprechaun teeth. There is some less than ideal racial joke dialogue before the leprechaun takes his shoe off and bites his toe.
I like Indian food, so spicy.
Between the ear and the toe, we get the trademark practical effects present from the late 80s to the mid 90s. They just hit different, man. And even in a bad movie, they liven up the experience and give us something to either remember or look forward to. Right before he finishes the poor shopkeep off, he's warded off by the medallion. Something you'd think would play heavily into the final part of the movie, but nah, that's asking too much of a MacGuffin. Warwick Davis has been around in film for some time, but it's crazy to think that, to fans of a certain genre, these movies will be his legacy, and he absolutely owns that. He could mail in every performance in this series, from even the first film, but he doesn't. Through the ridiculous plots to the silly rhyming dialogue,
There was an old man of Madras whose balls were made of fine brass. So in stormy weather, they both came together and sparks flew out of his ass.
Davis shines in every one of these portrayals. We certainly don't expect Star Wars level of continuity. Well, wait, bad example. But there are theories that whether this guy is even the same Leprechaun in every movie, and Davis gives us a memorable performance each and every time.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
We then meet our rather forgettable leads with Scott and Tammy through the power of plot convenience. Her car stops working, and he happens upon her. Simple as that.
Ah, well, see, someone stole your engine.
While Scott drives Tammy to her job at a casino, our shop owner learns about how leprechauns work in an admittedly fun way to teach us as the audience at the same time. He pops in a mythical creature diskette into his very early 90s PC, a disc that of course just he happens to have. At least it's better than a third explanation between human characters. Apparently, any human holding onto a piece of leprechaun gold can have a wish, so he foolishly seeks out the rest of the pot.
He'll batter and drain them.
I'm 1 shilling short!
Use all his magic to protect it.
Try to protect it from this.
Scott wanders into a casino, and we see what Shirley and Father Bob were really up to the night before Night of the Demons 2. Brian Trenchard-Smith giving us a cinematic universe before it was cool.
That's Rod McClary, who played the priest in Demons. There on the left is the wonderful Merle Kennedy, and on the right is the wonderful Zoe Trilling. Both my daughters of darkness from Demons. And there is Christy Harris, who was also one of my daughters of darkness in Night of the Demons 2.
And I'm not kidding. His name here is Father Bob.
Roll again, Father Bob!
Loretta, played by crowd pleaser Caroline Williams, and house magician Fazio.
What's a Fazio?
It's a mediocre magician who couldn't pull a rabbit out of a pet store.
Welcome assistant Tammy to practice their show, basically to show us a couple more people to add to the body count. And we get a subplot about the casino owner owing big money to an even more stereotypical casino owner. The age-old standoff between man and leprechaun continues, and just when the shop owner thinks he has a leg up, shocker, his opponent has lied. If you can't trust a murderous leprechaun, then who can you trust? The medallion is his, and he ends up killing the owner before he finds the coin. Scott then wanders in to pawn his watch after losing his shirt in the casino, and he finds the coin. He calls in the owner's body, clearly not his first rodeo, before hearing in Encyclopedia Britannica Leprechaun Edition that he can get a wish. Back to the casino it is. Scott is on a hot streak, and the leprechaun casually strolls the strip. Not a single person notices or is weirded out, since it's not even in the top 10 of noticeable things that can be found on the streets of Vegas. Fazio and Loretta work together to steal Scott's winnings, but only find the lucky coin.
What are you doing in my room?
And shortly after, he is visited by our favorite 3-foot terror.
Room service.
Scott is bit, but stabs him in the head and throws him, or at least his stunt double dummy, out the window. Forget Jason and Michael Myers, this leprechaun is the most durable slasher villain, and he's only half the size. Loretta tries to convince Fazio that the coin is magic, but of course it doesn't work that way. Casino boss Mitch accidentally uses the coin to wish for some lovin' from Tammy, and Loretta realizes the trick now.
I wish.
She sneaks into his room and grabs the coin, instantly ending the fantasy. Well, Scott starts turning into a were-leprechaun, as you do, complete with rhyming speech and bad Simpsons-level accent.
There once was a lady of Totten, whose tastes grew perverted and rotten.
This is your doing, Willie. I'll turn your groin to pudding.
Mitch gets caught in the leprechaun's trap while he appears in various versions of commercials that we've all seen. Religious speakers, accident lawyers, and of course a psychic. This is where the movie firmly deposits Warwick Davis' characterization into the silly Freddy Krueger realm of slasher portrayals, and it absolutely lends itself in this film. The leprechaun kills Mitch and messes up the two guys trying to get their money back, while Scott continues to mutate.
What's wrong? Your face!
Loretta wishes for a new body, which is funny because they just remove all the prosthetics and let her be her.
I wish I was a man so I could just screw myself right to the floor.
And Fazio steals the coin to become the world's greatest magician. This movie puts a monkey's paw flavor to the magic that gives the movie a ton of charm. Loretta gets death by makeup and prosthetics budget in the movie's most fun kill, while our heroes find out how to kill the monster for good. Kill the gold and kill the fiend. The medallion begins to work on Scott, but he also gains a little bit of magic that enables him to find the gold that was hidden away earlier.
2 leprechauns is 1 too many, man.
After escaping the leprechaun, they finally go to the hospital to treat Scott's leprechaun rabies. His blood might as well be Lucky Charms at this point, and even his EKG is a freaky stamp that my kids would bring home from school. More death and calamity ensue as Scott is now fully turned and incapacitated the nurses.
Now that's what I call managed healthcare.
Though his shtick just comes off as annoying when we already have one over-the-top performance to get through. They have your standard leprechaun street fight before Tammy and Scott head back to the casino for the final coin. Fazio has his magic show interrupted by an unwanted assistant who takes over the performance entirely. Fazio has his career cut short, figuratively and literally, while Scott and Tammy use a flamethrower that we will absolutely see in the next film. Hey, a good prop's a good prop. To melt the gold, which also kills the cereal mascot for good. Leprechaun 3 sits at a turning point for the series. The first 2 entries knew the concept was silly, but they still tried to make a horror concept out of it. 3 and 4, who are directed by the same guy that has now appeared twice on this show if you're keeping track, decided to throw away any concept of fright and lean into the ridiculous. The plot makes 0 sense, like they made it up entirely as they went along, and there are some very, very unflattering stereotypes in this movie, but it never, even once, takes itself seriously. This movie promotes the very feeling its accompanying holiday wants to spread. Have fun and just enjoy 90 minutes of a horror movie that will bring you back to the fun old days, the Wild West of straight-to-video. With a little luck, you'll have some fun getting there.